Hi everyone, I'm Sloan from SloanBella.com, and I am back with another energetically channeled frequency reading on a young woman who's hit the media most recently due to a documentary that came out about her missing 27 years ago. She went missing on March 24th of 1998. Can you even remember what you were doing back then? Because I can, but she went missing and has never been found. Not at least in as far as it's public knowledge, and we can all lay eyes on this young woman. I'm talking about Amy Bradley, who was on a cruise with her family, so mother, father, and brother, a Royal Caribbean cruise called Rhapsody of the Seas. And Amy, who was born on May 12th of 1974 in Petersburg, Virginia, was a young 23, about to be 24 before she went missing. So a very young woman. She was with her family, and apparently they were all staying in the same, I guess, cabin on the cruise ship. I'm not really a fan of cruises. It seems a little bit claustrophobic to me. And a little bit deep if you fall overboard, which is one of the things that people are saying, that she just took her own life and jumped off a boat 100 stories down into the ocean, hitting it like cement. Doubtful. And there's every kind of theory, from sex trafficking to jumping off the boat to falling off the boat to being kidnapped for what reason, I don't know, sex trafficking. There's all of these circumstances. So I wanted to look at her natal chart. Now, obviously, I don't have her time of birth, and I don't have a time of birth at all. So I did a sun on the ascendant, which for those that are adopted, those that don't have times of people's birth, those of you who are looking up a new boyfriend and don't know his time of birth, but know his place of birth and know the year and the day, you can do a sun on the ascendant, which is a 6 a.m. chart. It doesn't give you the ascendant, but it does give you important aspects of the chart. So when we look at Amy's chart, what I was drawn to immediately was the Saturn and Mars in Cancer. That tells me something. Now, the placement, according to her ascendant, would tell me something else about how that was activated. I can't really see that, but I can tell you there is a Mercury-Neptune opposition. So when Mercury and Neptune are in opposition, that means one might not be clear or level-headed thinking when they get drink or drugs into them. And so I'm going to go, and a Venus square Saturn and a Moon square Uranus and Venus square Mars and all of these different things that make sense for kind of what happened to her. Venus in opposition to Pluto with that weak ass Mars in Cancer. So what I mean by that is the men in her life, or the men that she met and would continue to meet had she been public and not been taken off the ship at that time, which is partially what I believe happened. But let's back it up a bit. Well, first, the Mars in Cancer is a weak position for Mars to be in. And when you attach it, even in a wide orb, to Saturn, there are implications of karmic repercussions through the father figure, if not the grandfather figure. Now, not knowing exactly what time of the day she's born, the 6 a.m. puts her moon at 29 degrees and 42 seconds of Capricorn, and that is extreme. That is harsh, and that is extreme. But it's also level-headed, and it is, no matter what, whether the moon was in Capricorn or she's born 5 hours later and the moon's in Aquarius, these are level-headed basic positions for the moon to be in. So she's not like crazy and gonna run off half, whatever, and jump off the side of a boat. That's not her nature. Not her nature at all. Her nature is quite the opposite, actually, at least energetic. She does have a Saturn square Pluto. These things direct my mind to unforeseen circumstances in an extreme way. So this is the person whose chart, especially with Pluto and Saturn in opposition, whose chart can lead them into meeting people of an extreme nature, meaning not a healthy nature for the person who owns the chart that has these aspects. So it makes sense to me that there were a lot of things going on behind the scenes that for even a smart 23-year-old, she might not have caught on to until it was too late. But let's back it up. Back all the way up, because I want to start with the family, and this is horrific. There are so many missing people in this country and around the world that people don't just disappear. That's like, it's not like the earth swallows them up and suddenly they're gone. That's not the case. So if they are not coming out in their day-to-day life and we don't understand where they are, it has to do with something else, as in they are being energetically hidden and shielded, and they are being blocked from coming out, which I feel is Amy's case. I do not, I'm going to say this right up front, I do not feel that this young woman, who is now 51, is dead. She's not dead. I cannot feel her energy dead, but I do feel it despondent, and that would be an obvious thing. But let's go into it piece by piece. So go back to before the cruise. Go all the way back, all the way back. Go back to her family, who I'm sure is devastated, not being able to put closure on this, meaning they don't know where their daughter is. So I go immediately to the father. I can't help myself, but I go straight to the father. And my energy is that he liked to appear a certain way in public, which is neither here nor there and is not responsible for anything. But he had this mindset where he liked to appear larger than life, and he liked like the game of appearing to be someone or to be seen in a particular way. He liked that. So he was kind of loud, and he was out there, and he was like a good old boy, and this is the way I want to be. Like, I'm loud. I like to do this. I'm a salesman. Okay. That is actually the energy of him. Think a different kind of version of Mad Men, and I want to compete at work. I want to be the best. I want to do it like this. And that is in fact how he won the cruise. So he wins this cruise, and his family, 4 of them, pop on a cruise ship, as I said, and they go on a cruise together with one room. I wouldn't go on that cruise with my family in one room. No thanks. Those rooms are claustrophobic. But it's really interesting because that particular night, when the father states seeing Amy was outside on the chair because the room was so small. That was actually part of why she was out there. She wasn't out there because she was crazy and drunk and hung out on a lawn chair that's on the side of a deck on the side of a boat. She was literally out there because she wanted like space. So she was dozing off. Now here's what's interesting. Back 2 months before this cruise happened, Amy's father was in conversations, meeting new people and new clients. I distinctly see this. A new circle or new group of friends came into his life. And I'm going to say something kind of off the wall, but I think Amy's father was targeted on land. I don't know the reason for this, and I don't quite know what I mean by it. I just get a bullseye on his head for, let's find out about this guy. Let's see what this guy does. Let's get this guy to win a cruise. Let's see what he does with this. I just get interest in him for some reason. He was actually the first person targeted. What I mean by that is not to be kidnapped, not to be thrown over a boat, but targeted, as in we're curious about him. We want to know what happened to him. What's he doing? Why does he do this? What's he need the money for? Why does he have to be on a cruise? How does he make more money? This is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing this whole conversation going on in my head. Like, what is happening with the father? What is the money issue with the father? It's almost reminding me as in I'm shooting craps, and I don't know if gambling was involved in this, but like, I want to find out where he makes his money, what he's doing. I'm nosy. I'm spying on him. I'm literally spying on him, not me personally, but the energy of it is what I'm seeing. So who is spying on this man? That's the first thing. The second thing is they get on the boat or the cruise, whatever, big boat, big bathtub, and you're hostage on a boat. You can't just like walk off a boat until it hits a dock. There's nothing you can do about that. Now, what I see happening with Amy is I do see that she's having a lot of fun. She is also nervous because of what she's going to be going back home and doing in her own life. So there's like a little bit of nervousness to her, like, what am I going to be doing? How am I going to be doing it? What happens when I get back there? You know, and I'm talking to land. So she's contemplating, do I do this? Do I do that? Like, where is it I'm going? So she has all of these things that she's focused on. I'm getting Amy, and she's like a nervous type person in that she wants things to be perfect in her life. So she was thinking of things, but she's also a fun girl. So she likes to have fun. So she's having fun on this cruise. And I see her having fun. And I see, and it's not the man that they say that she was dancing with, that yellow guy. They call him Yellow in the documentary. And I guess his name, and I find the name kind of suspicious, Alistair Douglas, like Alistair. Okay. Anyway, Alistair, aka Yellow. I mean, they're having fun, but this is weird. He may have been obsessed with her. He may have wanted her. He may have seen her in the sense that he was being energetically focusing on her because somebody else was focusing on her. Sometimes people get excited about focusing on certain people because they can feel the focus from other people and they want to join in. Like when somebody goes to a clothing store and they all start buying these bags, you know, like the Trader Joe's bags, and everybody thinks, oh, these are so good. It's because the energy has quickened and it focuses people's attention to it. This is what I feel was happening with Amy. The focus was on her, but it was a lot larger than what was going on just with her. And keep in mind, and I did hear this when I was kind of meditating on the experience, Amy was happy when she was on the boat. There was no problem. She could handle herself with that yellow guy. But what I see is she went, I literally see this. I don't think it was him. I feel like it's another person. I hear somebody saying to her, hey, you want to see what the kitchen's like? I swear to God, you know, you'd get me right there. I'd be like, yep, is there food back there? Anyway, somebody's saying to her, do you want to see what the kitchen's like? Here, come down this way and we'll go into the kitchen. The kitchen is the hub for what happened. She went down to the kitchen under the guise of looking for something else, like maybe to get, I mean, they have food on those cruises all the time, so you don't need to go to the kitchen, but the kitchen is where this event took place. So I'm in the kitchen and I'm looking around, and I went with you because you said, do you want to see what goes on in the kitchen? And me, if I'm her, am going down there. I'm going down a hallway and I'm going underneath this kind of area with a bunch of silver stuff across the top. So like ducts, like air conditioning ducts or whatever. And I'm going into the kitchen and I'm casually talking and eating something. That's what I'm doing. I'm very casual. Nothing's happening. Nobody's jumping out. No one's grabbing me. People have towels. They're wiping their hands. They're walking over there. Somebody's chopping something up over here. Like, it's like we're getting ready for the day and she's down there. And then her friend, young male friend, and I don't think it's this yellow person. I think it is somebody else. It doesn't look, the person looks more angular than that guy looked. So thinner is what I'm saying, and has dark hair. And she's casually eating and she's like following him. Now, why is she following him? Because they're going to go smoke some weed. This is what I get. She's following. This is so casual. Like, there's no alarm bells going off with her. She's not noticing it. She's just like, yeah, let's go over there and do that. Out this way. This is where we go to do this. We go over here. And there's like 3 other people. And it's like a side part off of the ship, off of the kitchen. I have no idea what that is, but that I've never been on a cruise ship, so I don't know. But she's standing there in like a smoking room. I want to say it's like a smoking room, or where people are smoking, but they're lighting up the weed, the ganja, whatever. They're lighting, they're doing this, they're doing it, okay? And talking and laughing and like, you know, eating. And this is what I get. Like, it's almost like a dinner party in someone's hotel. So I am not feeling anything if I'm her. Like, there's nothing that I'm feeling and nothing that I'm scared about. And then I keep following this guy because he's like, hey, you want to see this? You want to see that? And then suddenly my world goes dark. Okay? Suddenly my world goes dark. I feel this is early morning, around 7. I do not feel that Amy jumped off the boat. I do not feel she took her own life. I do not feel her dead. I can't say that. And I immediately want to go back to, it's really weird, green eggs and ham. Sam, I am. I really want to go back to that Dr. Seuss story and say that. So I'm assuming it's everybody's getting ready for breakfast, and I don't know when they serve breakfast on the ship, but I'm going to put it around 7 a.m. what I'm seeing. And nobody's suspicious of her walking around. Like, this is just normal. Like, probably cute girls go with the guys on the cruise ship and they go wherever they go, right? But her world goes dark. So it's around 7 and she can't see. So I actually feel that somebody gave her Benadryl or the likes of Benadryl or cough syrup or something that you get over the counter that's basically undetectable, meaning it'll knock you out or make you drowsy. But if it's caught in your body, it's like, well, she's got cough syrup. Like, no one's drugging her. It feels like that. It doesn't feel like there was an elaborate drugging scenario going on here. Just really casual. Like, I'm going to give you, here, have a shot of this. There's some Benadryl. I do get they were drinking in the morning and eating. It's kind of like, I get the crunching of like celery. I don't know, could have been apples, but it strikes me like a vegetable. Just like I'm crunching, I'm eating, I'm walking, I'm smoking weed, I'm going over here. She went to go with somebody and it feels like, hey, do you want some of this? I'm going to come, let's go this way. Now, after that point, I feel like she's taken blindfolded. So in a cab, in a car, in a vehicle with wheels, not like walked through anywhere, but literally we get into a cab or a cab-like car service and she's basically blindfolded. She can't see. So maybe this means she has a hat, a hoodie, something on, and she was targeted for her bloodline gene pool. Okay. So whatever it was that they saw on her appearance or who she was targeted for that reason. Now, here's the weird thing about it. I feel like everybody was waiting for this to happen. Like, this was specifically targeted and meant to be her. Something about the way she looked. It could have been eye color. It could have been genetics. It could have been her height, her weight, her stature, but that was requested. That was needed. So somebody wanted that specifically and particularly. It was very particular when it came to her. I see her waking up and she's really cold. So this to me is the night after she disappeared. Now, the reason this, take it, leave it. The reason the cruise ship didn't look at it more, and I'm going to say something outlandish here. The cruise ships are a cover up or a blanket for this kind of thing. So they're not going to look for you. They don't have to. And they know that she went down in the kitchen. So they aren't supposed to like let you, random person on the boat, go down and touch the food or be around the food or hang out with the food, because people can get sick, people can get drugged, whatever. I mean, I'm sure they have policy around that. That is why they kind of hid things. I do feel a conversation going on between two people, two men on the ship that are like directors, managers, directors, one with a serious hat on, not the captain, but somebody who wears a hat and walks around. I don't know if he's a constable on the ship or what, but they're talking and they're trying to deflect from what's happening. The parents were definitely gaslit, but the father was targeted and his family was targeted prior to them getting on the ship. I don't know why. I couldn't really pick it up except to say he won the cruise because he was competitive and it was like a gambling thing. Like, I'm going to win this. I'm going to do this. Fuck you. I'm going to win it. I won it. But they let him win it. Not because he couldn't have won it, but they needed him to win it. So there's a specific reason that he won this. And that's kind of the strand of thought. So it's, when you read energy around things, you can read it from the perspective of, you know, however you want to read it and however you choose to see it. But there's usually a line, a thread that goes through, a thread of commonality that goes through the thought. And I get it from the fathers and prior into the ship and what happened after, which is Amy went missing. There should have been a blocked search. I'm not sure what time the ship docked that morning, but she was kept blindfolded and not able to see through Benadryl. And I want to say Benadryl or cough syrup for real. She was kept not able to see through that. And she was kept basically in a area off the kitchen until they docked. Once they dock, so that's why a ship needs to be locked the fuck down, because the minute that they dock anywhere, everybody leaves. And how many people are on a cruise ship? Thousands, right? Hundreds, thousands, too many to keep an eye on. That ship those doors shouldn't have been open to go to land until every room. And so what we're talking about is we're talking about the Dutch Caribbean government, which owes its lack of poverty. So impoverished third world type countries that are taken over by monarchies are prime for trafficking and target tourists. Tourism is about trafficking. What can they accommodate and what goes unnoticed with thousands of people going in to this country, that country, Disneyland, over here, over there? What's happening in the interim to multiple people being kind of pushed in and out of different scenarios and different circumstances, of which Amy was one. That boat had a primary obligation, I don't care what they say, as a business that America can't do anything about it because they're in the water, they're in the ocean, they're in a different country. That's why you have to be really careful, because if it's your kid that goes missing, you're not getting answers from these people. They are disgusting. No answers, no nothing. They don't have to talk to you. They don't have to shut the boat down. Sure, leave the boat open. But what I see along the side of the boat is basically like a tour bus where they put down luggage and they can open it. It's all along the bottom and side. So there are things being wheeled up, wheeled out, moved in and out as you go off for a 5-hour stop at a port. As a family, you're just tourists. You go buy t-shirts, you go ride a horse, you go do whatever, go get your hair braided, you do whatever it is. But in the interim, the cruise ship is bringing on more supplies, more staff, going to the bank. The crew is in and out. They stop at these ports all the time, so they know people. They can be paid by people to do stuff, and that's exactly what happened to Amy. And again, I'm going to say I don't feel like she's dead. I actually feel like she's still alive. So let me start by saying this part. So she is in a cab or a vehicle that is like a cab, and she is going off. When she wakes up, it is nighttime. So the night that she disappeared, she is cold, she is shaking, she is terrified, and she's immediately drugged. And this is big time drugs. So she is drugged and she is sold, drugged and sold. I don't know what that means exactly to one buyer. It feels like it's more like sold to a group of people. She is sold. She is forced into a lifestyle that keeps her drugged 24/7. Not by her own volition. It would be now, because right now she would have that in her system. And people say, well, why wouldn't she ask for help? Why wouldn't she go get help? Mentally, I don't think she has the wherewithal to fully activate herself to walk and get help. It's not like you and I shooting up and then we get sober and we're like, okay, now I'm going to go get help. This is being forced on her day in and day out. I'm going to say something radically: 2 children too. I feel like she was forced to produce 2 children. These children were forced into servitude through selling. So there's a huge market on that island for the sale of children. So sort of like baby farming, for lack of a better word. And I feel she was hidden. Sometimes they took her out into public areas where she would stay briefly. So few weeks, a few days in that neighborhood, people would see her and then they move her. And they do this because they do it with all of their content. And she was considered content or product. So they move it like this. At the time she was pregnant, you wouldn't have seen her. But there were elaborate things. I see men with like cigarettes in their mouth, counting money like this. I see rooms where when people go in, this is also drugs. When people go in there, they have to take all their clothes off so they're not wired, they're not mic'd, and these people are checking them for that type of thing. Like, you better not have mics on you if you want to come in here and you want to talk, take your clothes off, you're down to your underwear. I better be able to see through your underwear. I'm going to pat you down and I got a gun in your face. So this is a bigger operation. It's run out of a little island that is inconspicuous. I don't even think it's an island on the map. I don't even think we know where she is. That is the home base for what goes on. And you ask why she doesn't leave. Number one, is she supposed to swim through the ocean? No. Number two, she's watched people be murdered and brutalized. And so that's terrifying to her. And number three, they have a kid and they put a hold and a lock on her for that reason. And that's what I get. No mother's going to jump in the ocean and leave her kid behind. So there is some focus on her energy that she can get to her kid, and therefore she's not going to leave this circumstance because she can get to her kid, and it's her kid. Like, it's out of her body. Does this mean she wanted a kid? No, she was probably most likely forced into that, like baby breeding, farming. This is something that's going on. I found it really interesting with the Navy guy, the Navy person that ran into her in a brothel and didn't mention it because he was worried about himself. It's like, dude, like, that's, I don't even know what to say to that. She is still alive though. I cannot feel her energy on the other side. How I see her right now is she doesn't look bad, but she's kind of broken in her mind. She does have longer hair, like the one picture that they saw, and she is on drugs, and she does walk around slightly homeless. But where she walks around is nowhere where you and I would be. It's not like a typical island where people go. It's off and hidden. So she can walk around this island, and she takes care of things. This is going to sound weird. She has animals that she looks after, and it's her job to do this now that she can't produce other things. So they trust her enough not to leave, but they don't let her go still. And yet she's not as productive as she once was, but she's productive in a different way. So she's in a position of servitude at this point to other people that are doing what she was doing when she was first taken to this island. And it is an island we don't know. It's nothing that's been mentioned. It's not on a map. It's not easily anywhere you can get to. It's just this island that just is like a dot with a bunch of trees around it and chickens on it. It's really weird. It's an impoverished island, but they're there. They have big time stuff going in there. Sometimes a plane flies there, but the plane is connected to the cruise ships in the bigger port. So this is a trafficking thoroughfare, and they spotted her. But again, I'm going to say this. They spotted her before she got on the cruise. And they spotted her through whatever their beef was with the father. In other words, that sounds weird. And I'm by no means blaming him. Sometimes people are targeted unbeknownst to them. And I get a connection to the grandfather too. I don't know whose side of the family I'm talking, mothers or fathers, with the grandfather, but there is a target. So there was a target, a bullseye on the dad's head, and the daughter was the one that went missing. Now, the people that I see talking to the dad appear to be, and this is on the cruise ship, appear to present themselves in one way, like maybe like insurance brokers or something, but they're not. There's something else. They're lying about what they're doing. And they're trying to get close to Amy. Like, they're trying to get close to her, which they can walk up to her. She's 23. I don't think I could stop my kid at 23 from talking to whoever the hell he wants to talk to. But they're lying to the dad about who they are, and it doesn't bring up anything in his mind and what they're doing. They've trapped her and they've taken her, but they haven't killed her yet, which is remarkable after 27 years when you think about it, because these people will kill you for any fucking reason. You look sideways, they're killing you. They have not done this to her. There's something about her that they need and that they request. To me, this is DNA. This is something along these lines. She's definitely been trafficked. She's been used like a broodmare, so to breed, to traffic, enslaved, and now for other slavery, like she enforces things, like she does what they ask her to do, not necessarily sex. I'm sure someone's still doing that, but it's in a broken down area, but yet flashy things show up in this little island. Do I think that she's going to be found? I do, but when she's found, she's so broken that we don't know who she is. So to me, she's homeless when she's found. Meaning she doesn't even know who she is, and she doesn't speak of it because something in her can't speak about it. She asks but gives up. She asks but gives up. And it's because they have a child of hers, or they tell her that. So she has to have given birth to one in order for them to have one, right? So when I see this is a whole strand of thought like this. The documentary is very interesting. The guy that they say took her, he does do stuff like that, but this wasn't the case. This wasn't what was going on with him. It was, he may have spoken to the other person I see her with, and it definitely went through the hallways in the kitchen. So that's how she got off the boat. She went out that way, and she was drugged, but like with a mild drug, Benadryl, cough syrup, whatever, to make her sleepy and to shut up, and then they could move her until they could move her. So it's really interesting. There are a few people that know that were smoking the weed with her that knew she was going to be taken. So some of the staff on that cruise ship was 100% invested in people being removed, not just her, people. Also, keep in mind, the government was involved of whoever is ruling. So I'm assuming it's the Dutch Caribbean, so it has something to do with European government, and that's exactly who was in charge of that. So even though it's a Caribbean island with native people and it seems like it's not as structured, the whole cruise ship industry is utilized exactly for that. So people got to start boycotting these cruises, no matter how fun it seems, because it's not okay. They are a trafficking tool, and that is what they've always been. They've been nothing but that. They've been a tool to take people out, move them here and there, while moving people who are legitimately on there, moving from one port to another. So it has a lot to do with trafficking of people, items, objects, in and out, because no one's questioning the cruise ship when it stops in a little port, in a Caribbean port. Who's there questioning it? Very few people, okay? Very few. Maybe once every 400 cruise ships. That's why they do this. It's continually, people are being put on and taken off and taken elsewhere. That is one thing, hidden in plain sight, right under your nose. So when I'm looking at the story of Amy Bradley's life, this is what I'm seeing. I'm also seeing the level of shame that's inside her, and what keeps her going is the thought of this child. This is what keeps her going. It really feels like a betrayal and a double cross within the context of the family through some associate of the father. Unbeknownst to him, I'm not blaming him, that's not what I'm saying, but it feels like a double cross. So there's something I'm missing here, but this is just my first video on this, and I don't know what else to say except how can anybody not look for anybody who's been missing for decades, because that's absurd. So once again, my name is Sloan from SloanBella.com, and this is the frequency reading on Amy Bradley, who again went missing in March 24th of 1998, and we don't have answers. And no, she didn't jump off the boat. She didn't kill herself. No one pushed her. She was medicated and taken off the boat for the purpose of product placement. I'm going to word it like this: product placement. Bring her to us, and these men in suits and you know, big wigs, chubby older guy sits there. Yeah, that one. That's the one we want. And she was taken very specifically because of who she was and what she offered. That's what I get. So again, I'm Sloan from SloanBella.com, and thank you so much for watching.